Today on the show, Harold Pinter's Betrayal returns to Broadway with a hot cast, including Tom Hiddleston. I'll head to the Jacobs Theater to check in with the Avengers star and company.
I've loved working in film and on television. I really couldn't choose between the two. But the pleasure for me of the theatre is the gift of being able to tell the whole story in one sitting.
Plus, how does Andrew Barth Feldman juggle playing the title character in Dear Evan Hansen while still attending high school? We'll go in depth with the star pupil about making the grade on stage and off.
This year I'll be taking BC Calculus, AP Lang, AP Physics, and AP Gov.
And TV and stage actress Ana Villafane will be by to tell us how she's celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month with the Broadway community. I'm Frank DiLella, and this is On Stage. Welcome to the show. Harold Pinter's classic 1978 play Betrayal is back on Broadway this season after a critically acclaimed run in London. The revival stars Tom Hiddleston, Charlie Cox, and Zawe Ashton. I caught up with the three performers who are making their Broadway debuts together.
Betrayal itself is such a resonant, loaded word. We all know what it means. We all know the feeling of it. It's different from grief, it's different from loss, it's different from sadness. It's a specific loss of trust in something.
For folks at home who aren't familiar with this Pinter classic, how would you describe Betrayal?
So Betrayal is a play about three complex people in three complex relationships with each other. Robert and Emma are married, Jerry was best man at their wedding, and Jerry and Emma have been having an affair. The audience, they have all the cards from almost the first 10 minutes. They know everything. And the game Pinter is playing is allowing the audience to watch exactly what happens when time goes backwards, how people found out, how long people knew, and all the many layers of betrayal that exist in the piece.
The night I was here, tears were just streaming down your face. How do you go there?
I don't know, Frank. I guess it's kind of always there. All human beings are actors. We're all doing our best, pretending to be whoever we are. The magic of the theatre is sometimes when that vulnerability is exposed and the audience can connect to it and say, oh, that's what it feels like for me too. And I hope that in that moment, the audience can connect to the humanity of what Pinter's trying to present.
Written by Harold Pinter, Betrayal is considered a classic of his and most closely aligned to his personal experience. This version is directed by Jamie Lloyd and had a sold-out run in London before transferring to New York. Tom is making his Broadway debut alongside his two British co-stars, Zawe Ashton and Charlie Cox. All three actors remain on stage throughout the entire duration of the show, even if they aren't in that scene. Obviously, you guys are very close. I understand there's some kind of group warm-up routine that you guys do before every show.
Word is spreading.
Something called Big Booty.
Big Booty, yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Tell me a little bit about Big Booty. What's Big Booty?
So Big Booty is a game I've played for a long time. I've actually played it, the first production I played it was 2007, production of Cymbeline. The idea is that the participants stand in a circle and they number off from pole position, which is Big Booty, number one, number two.
You just towards yourself as you say that.
Big Booty, you can be Big Booty. Okay. And then essentially it's a weird sort of you have to keep a kind of metronomic rhythm.
Is it, Big Booty?
Big Booty, Big Booty, Big Booty.
Theater kid over here.
Number one, number two, number two, number three. Anyway, so we enjoy playing it because it keys us into listening to each other and trying to be in the moment, but also because Charlie and I are intensely competitive.
So true.
I mean, Betrayal.
How are you doing? How are you doing?
If it wasn't for me, Betrayal wouldn't be on Broadway.
Loses.
Charlie previously worked with director Jamie Lloyd and Harold Pinter on The Lover and the Collection in the West End in 2007, the last play Pinter was involved with before his death.
Harold, you know, was just delightful and kind and supportive. I kind of dine out on on a few Harold Pinter stories that I now have.
Can you give us one?
There was one in particular where, you know, Harold is, as we all know, is very specific with his dialogue. And there was one line that I had, which was, to be quite blunt, old chap. I'd said the line wrong a couple of times, and I knew Harold was coming in that week. And so I'd kind of made a mental note, I must get it right. And because of the fear and the panic, I ended up saying, well, to put it quite bluntly, old Frank. Because I'd been saying frankly instead of bluntly, that's what was happening. And, you know, it was just a very awkward moment on stage with my co-star, Richard Coyle.
You play the character of Emma in the play.
Yeah.
And it's a very complicated relationship that Emma is in.
Yes.
What are people saying to you at the stage door after the show?
Harold writes Betrayal without making anyone accountable. And I think that is just so rare. Of course, when you are a woman and you are an actor and you are in a play that is about betrayal and you are the perpetrator of that betrayal, you're going to get some interesting reactions. And so I remember the first time I went to stage door and someone went, "I hated you." Because I was like, I'd rid myself of any judgment towards Emma, because you have to enter into a character with no judgment. Doesn't matter how despicable they might behave. And I think there are people that react very, very vehemently to her behaviour, you know. She's got 2 children, she's married, she's having extramarital sex. But then I suddenly started to hear more of a breadth of reaction, and that's when I realised, great, this is a woman who is inspiring extreme reactions of all kinds, and that's exactly what Pinter would want.
I have to point out that you are not just an actress, but
I'm
you're
not.
also a writer. And in just a couple weeks, you are debuting a play both here in New York and in London at the same time for all the women who thought they were mad.
Yeah.
First off, how are you accomplishing that?
I don't know, Frank. I really don't know. Do you know what's incredible is to be in Betrayal, written by Harold, who was an actor and a writer and so dedicated to both of those disciplines. It's given me actually a lot of confidence.
So even though Pinter is no longer with us, you're still learning from him.
I'm in a love affair with Harold Pinter. I mean, that's who I'm really in the affair with.
Tom and Charlie are big names in the Marvel universe. Charlie as Daredevil in the Netflix series.
I missed Hell's Kitchen. Yeah, it didn't miss you.
And you may recognize Tom as Thor's mischievous brother Loki in the Avengers films.
And he's my brother.
He killed 80 people in 2 days.
He's adopted.
So what's it like being in an environment like this? Very subtle, small, intimate. I mean, is that hard for you as an actor to go back to something like this?
Oh, I love it. I've loved working in film and on television. I really couldn't choose between the two. I enjoy them both. But the pleasure for me of the theatre is the gift of being able to tell the whole story in one sitting. And it changes at an almost molecular level with each audience.
I did make a joke the other day with Tom, and I said there will come a time, 10 years from now or whenever, where we are on set in some huge, ridiculous costume. And probably very grateful to be there, but in the boiling sun and thinking, God, what we wouldn't give to be in a suit on stage, talking about our feelings. You know? This kind of job doesn't come around very often. You know, I'll look back on this as being one of the great highlights of my career.
And you can catch Betrayal now playing at the Jacobs Theater on Broadway. And Betrayal is definitely on my must-see list for this season. Speaking of which, it's time now for my onstage picks of the week. On Sunday night, some of Broadway's best will gather at 54 Below to remember Tony winner Marin Mazzie. Mazzie passed away last year from ovarian cancer. The evening will be hosted by Mazzie's widower, Jason Daniele, and will feature performances from David Hyde Pierce, Donna Murphy, and Victor Garber. The show will serve as a benefit for the not-for-profit Cancer Support Community. For information, head to 54below.com. On Monday night, the Gershwin's Porgy and Bess returns to the Metropolitan Opera for the first time in almost 3 decades. Catch this glorious new production at Lincoln Center through February 1st. For tickets, head to metopera.org. And finally, David Henry Hwang and Jeanine Tesori's highly anticipated new musical, Soft Power, begins previews at the Public Theater on Tuesday night. In this politically charged musical, actress Elise Allen Lewis takes on a singing and dancing Hillary Clinton. For information, head to publictheater.org. It's time for a short break, but when we return, TV and stage star Ana Villafane will stop by to tell us how she's celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, Broadway style.